Hi, this is Angie with Angie's Door Decor. I've had some requests for some bow tutorials, so tonight I'm going to be showing you how to make a stacked bow with 3 different coordinating ribbons using the E-Z Bow Maker. This is the bow we're going to make tonight, so come join me. I'm going to start by cutting a length of my Bow Dabra bow wire and placing it between the 2 tallest posts on my bow maker. Then I'll take my first ribbon, and I like to measure out about a 14-inch tail. Put that down snugly in between the 2 tallest posts again, and measure out the other tail, cutting them both to the same length. Then I go to my next ribbon and just do another tail the same length right on top. My third ribbon is a narrower 1.5-inch ribbon. That's why I've chosen that one to be on the top and center. It's also the one with the prettiest pattern, so I wanted to make sure that it shows well on top. Now that the tails are all cut, I'm going to go back to the first ribbon from the first tail, and I'm going to start my loops. For a standard 24-inch wreath or for a lantern, I like to do a 10-inch bow, which means I'll have a 5-inch loop on each side. So I start with a tail, then I twist my ribbon towards me so that the pretty side is up when I come over my hand. And I'm going to measure it to the 5-inch mark on the bow maker. Again, twist towards me and measure 5 inches. And I'm going to do 3 loops on each side, always twisting towards me, which helps keep the ribbon from getting tangled. I like to put my ribbon on the spool with it coming over to the left side. It just helps me keep it from getting tangled up. Okay, so we've got 3 loops on the left, and now I'm going to do my final loop on the right. And this time I'm not going to twist. I want to leave the pretty side up and cut another short tail, just slightly longer than the loops. Now I've got 3 loops on each side, and I'm going to go to my second ribbon. This time I'm going to do 2 loops and a short tail on each side. So there's my short tail. I'm going to measure my loops just about a 1/2 inch smaller than the first one. So I'm measuring out to about 4.5 inches. I'm still twisting because this ribbon also has a front and a back, and I want to be sure the pretty side is what shows. With this second ribbon, I'm only going to do 2 loops on each side. This is really a personal preference, and you can do as many as you like. The important thing is to do the same thing on each side so that they match. So again, for this final loop, I'm not going to twist the tail. I'm going to leave it pretty side up and cut it slightly longer than the loop. And now I'm going to do the same thing with my final ribbon. Since this one is a bit narrower, it's going on top. And I'm going to again do 2 loops on each side, and I'm going to make them about a 1/2 inch smaller than the previous ribbon. So this time I'm at about 4 inches. Stacking the ribbons this way ensures that you can see each ribbon from behind the one on top. You'll see what I mean when I fluff up the bow. Okay, so there's 2 loops on each side, and again, I'm not going to twist after the last loop because I want the pretty side showing. Now I'm going to grab that Bow Dabra bow wire that we put in at the beginning, and I'm going to bring it up in between the 2 long posts. And it's very important to tie it as tightly as you can, because if you don't tie it tight, then when you go to fluff up your ribbon and you pull a loop on one side, it's going to pull it from the other side. Now I'm going to lift it right out of the bow maker, and I'll flip it over, and then I'll tie a good knot on the back. You want to try to keep your ribbon stack as straight as possible so that everything is nice and centered when you fluff it out. You can see how strong that cord is. I'm pulling really tight, and it's soft on my hands and it's easy to work with, but it's strong and I can really give it a tug. So now we're just going to snip off that extra bow wire. And I like to use pipe cleaners to secure the bow to whatever I'm attaching it to, whether that's a wreath or a lantern or a swag. You can also use floral wire. Now that we've got our bow finished, we're going to go back and dovetail the ends of the ribbons. You do that by folding it in half and then cutting a 45-degree angle from the folded side to the edge, and it makes a nice V. With the open weave ribbon, I'm not going to dovetail it because that's just going to cause it to unravel and fray, so I'm leaving that one alone. You want to just make sure you go back and do all of your unfinished edges, both in your tails and in your loops. Okay, once you've got all of your ends dovetailed, you're just going to start on one side and get your hands in those loops and pull them in opposite directions. And you can see I've tied it tightly and I'm able to really tug on those loops and separate them from the center. You just want to do that with all the loops on both sides of your bow. I will put a link in the comments with more information about the bow wire that I like to use, as well as the bow maker itself. And stay tuned, I will be posting some videos of the other two bow makers that I like to use, and those are the Bowdabra tool and the Pro Bow the Hand, which is the one that I use for big tree topper bows. So those tutorials will be coming soon.